Hello, welcome back, lovely viewers. In this part of the video, I'm going to start with the Laravel project, how to start up your Laravel project, define the login file, and complete the login form UI. Now, in our previous video, we talked about what we are going to do in this particular video playlist. So if you didn't watch the previous video, please do all by watching the previous video. I'm going to put the link to the previous video down below in in this particular video description. Alright, so let's proceed. So what you would want to do is you would want to go to the folder where you want to store this particular project at. In my case, I'm storing it in this particular folder. What you would want to do is, I believe anyone watching this video by now has watched our previous video on what Laravel is and how to install Laravel into how to make Laravel up and running in your system or in your laptop to make it run successful without facing any bug. Okay, if you haven't watched that video, I'm also going to put that video in this video description. So you go and watch it first and you set up your laptop to run Laravel or Composer on it successfully before you proceed. Okay, and to begin with, I want to clear this. This particular course is beginner friendly. So if you are new to Laravel and you are also new to React, it's very beginner friendly. So we start from easy to complex. All right, so let's proceed. What you want to do now is you would want to right click on any part of the folder and open with a terminal. So now when you open your terminal, what you want to do is I want to just clear it first to have everything look very clear. All right, so you run this command. Laravel, I don't know if you've not initialized Laravel in your system. I believe you go by the old ways by running the composer create Laravel / Laravel new project. I'm going to put the link to initialize composer in your system so that you can be running code like this. Okay, so what you want to type is Laravel new, then you give it a name, the project name. So I want to give it authentication system. This is the name I will give to it. So when I press enter, I wait. And Laravel asks me which scaffold would I want to use. So scaffolding, Laravel is a PHP framework, but it provides to you all the necessary things, all the basic things you need to start up your web application. So we have the Breeze scaffold, we have the Jet Stream. So I would prefer the Breeze scaffold, and I would advise you to go with the scaffold because the scaffold has been tested over and over and over. And any bug that you would have to encounter, the scaffold has already taken care of those things already. It can also be customized or changed to your preference anytime you want it. All right, so I'm going to go with the Breeze scaffold. Press enter. Now it's asking me which stack will I want to use. So basically, if you watch my previous video, I've been working with Blade, but now we are grading to what? The React. Okay, so let's choose React because that is the stack we are going to use. I'm going to use React JS. Now it's asking me if I would want to add an additional feature, that is the TypeScript or the DAC or SSR. For now, I will go for none. So it's asking me which testing framework. I'll go with the 0 PHP unit. And it's asking me whether to create an initial Git repo. For the sake of tutorial sake, I'm going to create an initial repo so that I push it to my GitHub account. So as you proceed, if you face any challenges, you can find your way through the repo that I've deployed. All right, so let's wait as it installs all the necessary packages. All right, so it has successfully downloaded all the necessary packages. Now it's asking us one question too. Which database will we prefer to use? In our case, we are going to use MySQL. That is what we are going to use. So you choose MySQL. So when you choose MySQL, I have to do some authentication because of the Git I initialized. Okay, So we wait for it to also download all the necessary packages it needs. Alright, so we've successfully downloaded all the packages we need for this authentication system. Now let's change directory to what the folder that we just created. Okay, I've not spelled it well. Authentication. Alright, so you would want to type code dot if only you have VS Code as your test editor. Excuse me. Alright, so now that we have everything set up, you can see that everything has been installed into our project successfully. So let's run a test to see if everything is working perfectly as we want it to. Alright, so first we will run the normal PHP code, PHP artisan serve. So in this case, we are not only doing PHP and Blade, we are doing PHP and React. So in order for us to see the changes real time, what you would want to do is, although you've run the PHP artisan serve, you would want to run npm run dev because we are also going to work with React. All right. So now you can see that we have an error. What is the error? Okay, node model is not recognized as an internal or external command. So what you want to do is you want to run this command npm install. So all right, so you can see that our npm install has run successfully. Okay, so let's try it one more time again to see if our error is resolved. Okay, let's wait. It's taking too much. Okay, now you can see that our error has been resolved successfully. Okay, so let's go back. Let's open another terminal and run our PHP artisan serve command. Artisan serve command to start the server. Please don't forget to start your XAMPP anytime you start doing any project. Since it got to do with PHP, you have to start your XAMPP to prevent any error. Okay, so I've already started my XAMPP. As you can see, I opened the XAMPP 2 times. Okay, so let's continue. Now that we have started our server, let's wait for some time to start. Alright, so you can see that our server is also running successfully. Okay, so now I want you to open to any browser of your choice and let's check the path. As you saw here, it's told us that we are the server is running on port 8000. So therefore we have to route to 8000 to see if everything is running successfully. Okay, so this is the initial screen. This is what we are going to see initially when you install everything, like when you install the Laravel framework in addition with the React. This is what you're going to see. If you could remember, we installed the Breeze scaffold. So the Breeze scaffold provide a full authentication system for you, but then we don't want to go with their authentication system. We want to change each and everything. We want to customize everything to our like. We want to understand the process of authentication, although we are going to use some of their classes and methods, but then we are going to build our UI and everything from scratch. Okay, so let's go back to the code. Sorry. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to go to the route. We would go to the route and find the web.php. Now, this is what they are initializing. So as you can see here, this is a backslash. The backslash represents the main route. So the main route, they are showing, they are rendering a page called the welcome. But then we don't want to render that page. For that reason, we are going to build a controller. We want to organize our codes for it to look much more presentable and mature. So let's create a controller to handle all our authentication changes that we are going to do, all the changes that we are going to do. Yes. Okay, I don't think we should create a controller. Let's just render the page directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this one out. So when I comment this one out and you go back to the page and you go to this main route, you are going to get not found because I have commented it out. And then if you've worked with React before, Laravel before, you could realize that anytime you do any change that got to do with the routing, you need to open your terminal and run the PHP artisan optimize before the whole framework gets to know that, oh, there's a change here. But then with the React, each and everything is very fast. Okay, so let's render a page. But first, we need to create a page before we render the page. You understand? Okay, so I'm going to go to the resources. Now, you're not going to work in a view. You're going to work with React. For that reason, you're going to work in a JS. So the JS, I'll go to the pages. So you could see here that there's an already existing authentication. I'm going to rename this authentication to old. You let me leave it. I don't want to break any error for us to waste much more time solving errors. So I'm going to create another folder and I will name it authentication. Authentication. Okay. So in this authentication, I'm first going to have a login.jsx. So this is what I'm going to have first. So this is what I'm going to run is, I believe you have, each and everybody watching this video has a little bit knowledge about React. Okay, so I'm going to run the rfc command snippet. It's a snippet I installed. It's an extension. Okay, so I run this command and it gives me the block of code for, it's a function. So I'm basically exporting the login function. And I want to render the login. I want to render okay, let me just write some text here so that you see that everything is working perfectly fine. Okay, but first, in React, you cannot just start writing HTML styles here like this. You need to put them in a fragment. So it's either you put it like this or you write the fragment tag. Okay, so I want to test I want to write h1 of hello world. Hello world. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the web and I will initialize that page. How do we initialize that page? Okay, bear with me as we do this change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this block of code. Follow along with me. Get okay. Now return inertia. So I'm returning the inertia. So with page, so in basically Laravel already knows this is more like an asset. If you've worked under Laravel before, you will know what an asset is. So it's a method that is already built that is used to pick pages. So basically it's picking all the files in this particular folder, pages. So in order for me to get that particular login page, I'll have to navigate to that page. So we have our authentication folder. So in our authentication folder, let me put it in quotes like this. In our authentication folder, we have our login. Correct. So everything is done successfully. This is how we render a page in the React end. So when I refresh, let's wait for some time now. If it doesn't show, then I'll have to optimize. Let me open a new terminal and run this code. If yours don't show, please optimize for it to come perfectly fine as I'm having mine. Okay, so you can see your hello world is coming successfully. Congratulations, family, fellow programmers. So you've been able to render a new page successfully. So what we are going to do next is we are going to move. Okay, we have our tags here. So we planned of starting up our Laravel project and it's done. It's done. So now we are going to target the login UI. So let's proceed to the login UI. Okay, so in the login UI, we are going to we want to set each and everything systematically. We want things to be very, very, very systematically. So what we're going to do first is we're going to first create a class called login. Okay, and we continue by using the login. We create another route called the login, another class, I'm sorry, called the login wrapper. Okay, so now that we have our login wrapper, I don't want us to put things together to make it look so clumsy. So what we're going to do is we are going to move to the components. So in the components, we will create a folder called forms. So in here, we are going to have all our forms. So the first form that we are going to create is the what? The login form. The login form, where all the forms will be at. So we'll do it login form.jsx. Okay, so you run the normal command rfc. So rfc, then you press your enter, then um it gives you this interface. It gives you the block of code for like a normal function, the basic codes of a function. Okay, so let's proceed. So what we're going to do is we are going to bring our login form, the one that we just created, automatically import it. So if yours does not automatically import, you do well by importing it here. So now that we've imported it, if we go back to our screen, you're going to see login form. Perfect. So what we're going to do next is we are going to, in our authentication, we are going to create our style. So we'll have our styles.css. So style.css, and we are going to import that style in order for us to see changes. So we'll write this command import style. Okay, it's basically down in style like this. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Perfect. I hope you understand each and every step we are going through now. Please, if you don't understand anything, do well by letting me know, putting it down in the comment section. I'll be really glad to explain things better or to help you, assist you to understand it very perfectly fine. Okay, let's proceed. So I'm going to start with, let's check if everything is okay. Okay, we can see that everything is perfectly fine. Okay, so let's start working on the login wrap. So you can see that we have our login wrap here. So what we're going to do is just let's test if our style is working perfectly fine. So body, let's give it a background of black, background color of black, to see if our style too is working perfectly fine. Okay, you can see that our style is working perfectly fine. That's great. So what we are going to do next is we are going to move straight to the login form. So let's go to the login form. Okay, let's go to the login form. Where is the login form? This is the login form. This is where the magic and everything is going to happen. Okay, so bear along with me as we start coding the login form. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to put this in a fragment or an empty container. So here we are going to have our first container, which is called the login wrap. Login wrap. And the next will be login one. Then we are going to have our image. So the image that you saw at the side, that is going to be here. The image you saw at the side is going to be here. Okay, let's continue. And I'll have a span, the short description. Hello world of YouTube. This is the short description I want to put there. And so we go down right under the login one. Right under the login one, we are going to have another container called the login2. So in our login2, we are going to create another container called login2 wrap, right? Login2 wrap. And we are going to, so the form, we are going to use a package called a formic. That's what we are going to use. We are going to use React formic. So let me go so I will read something. If you have time, read about the React formic. Formic React JS. Okay, React formic. So there's it. Now this is what we are going to use, the React formic. I'm sorry, my internet is not. Okay, I think it was not from my internet, it's from the site. So what I'm going to do is, this is the actual link. I'm going to put this link in this video description so you get the actual format. So we go to get started, and we scroll down to where it talks about how we can put it in our system. So let's copy this and go back to our project and pull the terminal out, run the cls command, put it there to install our formic. So let's wait as the formic installs into our system. All right, so as you can see, we've successfully installed our formic. All right, so let's use the formic now. This is how we're going to use it. First, let's import our formic. Import formic, import formic, formic from formic. Okay, so now we can use our formic. This is how we use it. So call the formic close tag, and what we are going to do is we're going to open the fragment and call the formic. All right, pass this, and in here we are going to call our form. So the form is also imported from the formic. Please import the formic from the formic too as well if you don't want any problem, or if you don't want to encounter any error. Okay, so this is basically what we have. Let's go to the site to see if everything is running perfectly fine. So let me refresh, and you can see everything is working perfectly fine. Okay, so as I said earlier on, we want to have our things really arranged properly. So what we are going to do is we are going to we are going to create a new component that all our input fields will be at. Yes, we are going to create a, so what we have to do now is, in the form we will create a new folder called inputs. So the input will have a file called login input.jsx. So we'll run our normal snippet rfc, and we have this. So what we are going to do is we are firstly going to import the login input just here in the formic, in the form, right? Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so I will type this login input, right? Open and close tag. Okay, so let's go to our site to see if we have everything right. Okay, you can see our login input. Nice. So let's go to the login input to do the necessary changes, to do what we want to do. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to give this div a class name of input wrap. Input wrap. Okay, so we have our input wrap, and then within the input wrap we'll have our input fields, right? Okay, so in the input field we'll give it a class of, we'll give it a class name of let's give it a class of input error border, so that when the user enters something that is false we can identify that. Okay, okay, and let's give it a type. So now what we are going to do is we will be repeating this input field, right? We will repeat this one multiple times, like we need two, so we'll repeat this one 2 times. For that reason we would need to pass a parameter here that we can assign it, or we can also write it here to indicate what type of input field is this, whether it's an email or a password. Okay, so let's pass the values. First value we are going to pass is a placeholder, and then we give it a type. Okay, and then we'll have a name too as well, name. Okay, so now that we have this, what we can do is we'll pass it down here. So the type is going to be the type that we passed up there. The type. Okay. All right. So, and the next thing is going to be, okay, we are facing an error. I'm coming. Fix it. Okay, so I think we've already passed the type. So we have to change this type to the props. That is the type, right? Okay, so let's go down there, and the name should also be the name that will be passed there, and the placeholder too. Let's give it placeholder as well. Placeholder. Okay. Okay. So you've been able to, yes. So we are still working on the login inputs, right? Okay, so let's go back to our login form. Let's go back to our login form to do the necessary changes, right? Okay, so what we have to do now is down here, we go down here like this. So in this particular login is the email where we are going to insert our email. So this is a component, and this component has a parameter of a type. Okay, so we are going to set this type to what? Email. And we'll go down here, give it a placeholder. It has a parameter of placeholder, right? And we'll key in, enter your email. Okay, all right. And it also has a type of name, right? Yes, it has a type of name. So the name is going to be what? Email as well. Okay, all right. So let's go down here. Here is the password, right? So this one, the type is what? The type is password. I hope you guessed right. Okay, and we go down here, placeholder, give it a placeholder of what? Enter your password. Okay, all right, so let's proceed. And the name down here, the name is going to be what? Password. Correct. You have everything up and running. I hope you understand each and every step you are taking here. Please, if you don't understand anything, don't don't find it difficult to comment out in the comment section. Okay, so you can see that we have our unstyled input fields here, right? Okay, we would want to add more things to it. Things like forgotten password and create account. So the create account is basically the registration side. Okay, so let's continue. We have our link component. This one we are not importing it from router DOM. We are rather importing it from what? Inertia. Okay, so here we write, it takes a parameter of an href. So in here, let me keep it empty. I don't want to confuse anyone here. So here we have our class name. Our class name is going to be what? Forgotten password. That is the name we are going to give to it. Forgotten password. Then we go down here and give the string called forgotten password. Forgot password. Okay, right. Let's come down here. Here we're going to give it a splitter. So we'll give it a class called sign splitter. Right? Okay. So let's go down here to the button. So here is button that we're going to press to actually pop up the registration card. So create account, right? Okay, let's continue. We are almost there. We are almost there. Don't forget, oh, we forgot to add our button, our login button. Okay, so our login button, the type is going to be a type of submit. and we are going to give it um, class name of blue btn. Okay, all right, so we are going to have our login here. Ask the user to log in. Ask the user to log in. All right, all right. Okay, so congratulations, we've been able to write our normal JavaScript. You can see it does not look appealing here. So let's go and work on our style. Let's go and work on our style. Okay, let's go and work on our style. So with our style, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the authentication folder and look for our what, our style.css. So this one I'm talking about. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first target the login wrapper. This, the login wrap, not this one, the login wrap. Okay, we are first going to target this login wrap. So when we have the login wrap, yes, we want to give it a height of let's give it a height of 78 view height, and give it a color of black. Okay, and we want to also target the login one, but first we will put some logo there. We'll put some logo there. Let's get the login one, and the login one will give it a width of 300 pixels, and down there we are going to give it a margin of what, 0 and an auto, right? Okay, we give it alignment of center. We need to align it. Okay, let me go down here. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so you can see hello world is here. Very cool, looks decent. Okay, so let's proceed. Does not look all that nice. I shouldn't say decent. Okay, so login, and in the login we have a what, let me see what we have here. Okay, so in our login one we have our span. Okay, so let's target the span. So the span, we would want to increase the font size to 20 pixels. All right, so let me go and get the image. I would want to, let's try and do something like Facebook. So let me get the Facebook image img. Okay, so this is Facebook. Let's wait for some time. Okay, Facebook. Let's give it some time. Network is very bad here. Forgive me for that. Okay, let's wait. Okay, so my Facebook images are in. You let me choose this one. Okay, now that I have this one, I would want to right click and then copy the image address. I repeat. Okay, so what you would want to do is let's go to the login form and put the link down here. Yes, and then give it an alternative of logo, right? Okay, so let's go back to our style to continue styling. All right, okay, hope you are getting things very cool, right? Okay, so what I would want to do is I would want to let's see the image we have here. If it's okay, so the image looks it looks good, but then let me see if we can do something small about it. Maybe decrease the size or something. So we have our login one, and the image should be, let's give it a width of 150 pixels to see if it will look great. Okay, I think this is okay. So let me see the login from who we have next. We have our login to. Okay, so let's copy the login to and give it a style to as well. So the login to, we want to give it test alignment. We want to test align or test alignment to what the center, right? Okay, so let's check what we have if it's cool. Okay, I think small we are getting there. All right, so let's proceed. So I would want us to target the login to wrapper. Yes, let's target the login to wrapper. So here we're going to have our display of flex, right? and give it a flex direction of column. We want to display column. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Let's give it alignment of center. Let me do it like this so let's see the changes lively. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll give it alignment of center, and I'll give it a gap of one rem, right? Okay. Let's give it a background of you know, I've defined all the list of colors we are going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the video description so that you grab it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the colors down here. I'll get the colors here, but I've already defined all the colors that we are going to use. As I said earlier on, it's a project I'm working on, so I'm still working on it. All right, so let's proceed. Okay. Okay, so what you want to do is I want you to go to the main directory right here, the main directory, this app.css JSX. So what I want you to do is I want you to press on the app.jsx and create a new file, call it index.css, right? So here we are going to have our general style. General style, it could be accessed anywhere. So I'm going to paste the codes here and I will save it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import that particular general style. So import our general style, which is the index.css, and I'll terminate it. So let me go back to the style. So now that we have our inbuilt style, I'll just be calling them anywhere I want to call it. So I want to call this I want to call the primary color. Yeah, I'll call the primary color. Let me see. Okay, that's great. Let's give it a box shadow so that we see what we are doing. Box shadow. Give it a box shadow of 0, 1 pixels, 2 pixels, and give it the color. Give it a color of the shadow 1. Okay, you can see it looks very light. Okay, so let's work on the padding. Let me give it a padding of 1 rem. Proceed, give it a padding bottom of 2 rem as well. And then I would want to give it a width. Give it a width of 350 pixels. And give it a height. Let's give it a height of fit content. Okay. Let me come down here. Margin would be 1 rem, and I'll auto it. Margin, I'll give it an auto. So border radius, I want to give it a border radius of 10 pixels, right? Okay, so you can see that small we are getting there. We'll get there. Don't worry, crap. Okay, so let me just close this so that it does not confuse us. So I would want us to target this particular button, right? This button. Okay, so let's target the button. First I would want to go to let me close this one. I don't need it anymore. Go to app. I don't need this one too anymore. Let me come down here. Mostly when many tabs are opened, I get confused. So I don't really want my tabs to be open like that. Okay, right. So I want to give it a width of 100%. Okay, and I will give it a height of let's give it 50 pixels. Okay, and let's give it a font size of 17 pixels. And let's see if it's okay. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let's give it a font width of let's give it a font width of 700 pixels. Okay, it looks good. This looks good. Okay. So let me just close the web and go back to the login form. I would want to target this particular forgotten password. Okay. So forgotten password. Let's work on the forgotten password. So I will give it a comment like this. I'll give it a color of var, and we want the blue color. The blue color. All right, it's in. Okay, so let's give it a font size of 14 pixels. And let me give it a cursor of a pointer. So when the user points on it, it gets the cursor. All right. I want to add some hover effect to it so that when the user hovers on it, probably he gets this underlined so that it shows that it's a link. So let's give it a hover effect. So test the creation. Let's give it a test the creation of underline. Underline, yeah, so it looks like a link. Okay, right. So let's continue. I would want to call this particular class this sign splitter. Sign splitter. So I will work on that one too. So the sign splitter, what we are going to do is we are just going to give it a width of 100%, 100%, and give it a height of 1 pixel. Give it a background. Give it a background of var the BG TED, right? BG TED color. That's what we want to give it a BG TED. Okay, this looks good. This looks good. Let me see what we have next. All right, all right, all right, all right. I think we're good to go. We're good to go. And we have to work on the input fields too as well. Okay. But first, I would want us to also style this particular create account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the open field, open form rather, and I'm going to give this particular button a class of, I'm give it a class name of blue button, the blue button, blue BTN, and I'll give it open sign up, sign up. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's proceed. So open sign up, I would want to give it a class. Let's go to the open sign up and give it style. Make it look much more nicer. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a background. I'll first change the background to the blue color, the blue color, and I'll give it a width of 70%, right? Yeah, 70% is okay, and make it important so that it does it no matter what. So I want to increase font size to as well. Give it a font size of 17 pixels and then make it important. Okay, all right. So let me see. I'll give it a margin top of 1 rem. I think this looks okay. This looks okay. Okay, so I think we have to give it a color of white. Right. Give it a border radius. So I created I also have this particular class blue btn. I also have the course here that I would want to also put it in the public css. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this in the video description so that you can find it easy. You don't find yourself wanting. Okay, Fine, we have it. So now that we have this perfectly done as we wanted it. What I'm going to do next is we are going to style this input fields. But first, all right. So we are going to style the input fields. Okay. So what I'm going to do is you're going to go to where we have our inputs, that is in the component, right? In the form, and we give it a style too as well. We have our styles. So this is where all our input fields style is going to be. I mean the input fields. Okay, so what we would want to do is let's first go there to see what we have there. Excuse me. Okay, so you can see that we have our input and we don't have much here, but then there is a lot to work this particularly because yeah, we have to work on it. There are many things that we have to do. Okay, so what we are going to do now is let me see what. All right, so let's start styling the. Let me close this one. Close this one too, and close this one. This one is a style. So yes, so I want to first import the input field style. That is the style, right? Style. Okay. Now that I've imported it, let's start working on it. So let's pick this input class and start working on that one first. So we'll give it a position of relative. I'm going to give it a width. I'm going to give it a width of 302 pixels. Okay, we'll display it, give it a display of flex, correct? And we'll change the flex direction to column. Okay, that's great. Let's align items to center. Let's make it, yes, be in the center. Because now let's target the input field, the actual input field. So in here, what we're going to do is, when the user press this, when the user press here, you can see some outline. We don't want the outline. So we're going to put the outline, set the outline to none. Okay, and give it a border of 1 pixel solid, and call our variable, that is the bg tag. Okay, all right. Okay, let's give it a background. Let's give it a background of our variable called the primary color. Okay, all right. Good to go. Let me give it a width of 100%. Let's increase the height too as well. Height to be 50 pixels. Okay, let's increase the font size to 17 pixels. Yeah, so that the testing portfolio will look nice. Let me give it a border radius of 10 pixels. Okay, and then let's give it a pattern left of 10 pixels as well. All right, and the margin bottom should be 10 pixels also, so that space will come, there will be some spacing. All right, so let's first give it some color. Let me give it some color of give it a color of variable, and then we have my blue color, right? Blue color, or let's just make it it's okay. All right, so you can see when we try to so you can see when I type something inside, it looks blue. Okay. Now when the user, or when the mouse is in the input field, we want to also do something. So when it is focused, so when it's focused, we want to change the border color rather to the green color. So I'll call this BJ, or let's make it blue. Blue is okay. BJ, let me make it green. Okay, so it's actually the green color. Green color. So realize that when I press on it, you can see the green color. That looks good. Okay, so I think actually we're going to work on the responsiveness too. But for now, this is what we have. It needs more work. Okay, come on. Okay, so let's work on the responsiveness in the desktop view, how it should look like. Okay, for that, what we are going to do is we're going to look for the pages for the authentication and down here in the style. So here we are going to write this codes media. Here we need our media with when there's a minimum with 850 pixels, and only we need the login wrap. We need the login wrap to have a display of flex, right? And align items to the center, and also give it a maximum width 1000 pixels. The margin will be 002. Let me see. Okay, it looks good. Okay, so when it's getting to the mobile view before it moves up. All right, so let's proceed. Okay, so we will continue with the login one, and we will tackle the image. So in the image, we want the width to be 300 pixels, and then we will increase, push it to the left a little. So -1.7 RAM. Okay. Okay, let's work on the text, the span too as well. So in the span, as the login one, have our span. So the span we want to give the font size of 28 pixels. All right, let's go down here. We have our login to wrap. Give it a let's give it a width of 400 pixels, right? Okay, let's target the Ogoro, which is the input wrap. Input wrap. So in the input wrap, we want to give it a width of 360 pixels. It to be very important so that it actually works. Let's see what we have here. Okay, perfectly fine. What do you guys think? I think it looks great. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do now is I think the description here is it's very short. So for that reason, I'm going to let's go to our code. So in here, let's look for the form. Login form, right? So the login form, the description. So let's use a this looks great. Okay, so we need to work on the span. It does not look great. Okay. Okay. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to come down here and look for, let me check if I had this right. Okay. All right. So okay. The span, the font size is 28. Appreciate this. Okay. And I would want to shift it. Alright, 10 pixels. Okay. Margin rather. I think this looks good. But first, I want to change the color of the login to maybe green. So what I'm going to do is the register rather. So in the plugin form, we had a button, right? This one. The background should be green rather. So let me use the green color. Okay, I think this looks good. 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 All right. So let me see. Let me see. Okay. So we've successfully created our login UI as we planned of as we set as our goal that we would. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this to my GitHub repo so that you can pull it and check it out in case you face any difficulty or any challenge. So this is my GitHub. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to your friends for them to watch and learn something new. It's really, really important. It really matters to me a lot. So I'm going to teach you how to put your project to on GitHub if you have any projects already. By okay, so I'm going to create a new repo. Now call it Auth YouTube. Okay, I'll make it public. Right? So create repo. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to initialize Git. So Git init, right? Now Git add, and I will Git commit. Git commit. So the commit is more like something like a comment to remind you of what you did at that particular time. So what we did was completed login UI, completed login UI, right? I have some settings, but so for me, I will have to authenticate it first before it's actually committed. But then for you, you might not come across this authentication. It's fine. Okay. So since it's a new branch, let's go step by step with what they have here. Let me copy this one, put it down here, and push it finally. All right, so I'm going to put the link to download the source code, the first thing that we've done, in the video description so that you can check it out. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. This is Chrissy Coles. Please comment out your opinions or your thoughts on what we want to do next after we are done with this particular project. Thank you very much. Happy coding.